Okay, in this video, we're going to be reviewing Unit 8, Lesson 5, where we went over the formula to calculate volume of prisms. Here we have a rectangular prism. To review, our formula is volume equals length times width times height. In this video, we are going over not only how to calculate volume, but we will also be reviewing how to calculate volume with one missing side and also volume with two missing sides. So I'm going to go ahead and split my paper because we'll be doing three different problems. Our first problem, we are going to calculate the volume. If we are given all the other sides, we're going to figure out what the volume is. In this example, let's say you are given a rectangular prism with a length of 12 inches, a width of 4 inches, and a height of 5 inches. Just label my diagram, 12, 4, and my height is 5. First thing you do in a problem like this, you write your formula out. Tell your reader or yourself which formula you're using. We're calculating volume. Now I fill in what I know. I don't know volume. That's what we're solving for. My length is 12 times my width is 4 times my height, which is 5. Then you put that into your calculator or do some mental math, and you will get 240 inches to the third power. Now I want to just go over this really quickly. We talked about this in class, and I had you write it down. If you didn't write it in class, write it now. But when we're working with area's units are squared. When we're working with volume, our units will be to the third because we're doing length times width times height. So volume, our units are always to the third power. So here we have 240 inches to the third. Okay, that's just simple calculating volume when you're given your three sides, your length, width, and height. Now let's say you have a problem that says find the missing length of the prism shown if you know the volume is 120 inches to the third power. So this is telling you the volume, and I'm just going to draw the prism. My length is going to be x, my width is 3 inches, and my height is 8 inches. First thing we do is write down our formula, length times width times height, and then we plug in whatever we know. So we know our volume is 120 because our directions told us to. They told us so. This is why it's so important. It's always important to read the directions, but especially now, it's really important because your directions will tell you things that you need. So 120 is my volume times my length. Let's look at the diagram. My length is x. I don't know my length, but that's okay. My width is 3, and my height is 8. Next, what I want to do is I want to simplify this. I want to get x by itself, but it's being multiplied by two different numbers now. So what I want to do is I just want to bring these two together because I know 3 times 8. I could do that. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 120 equals x, and 3 times 8 is 24. 120 equals x times 24. I just simplified. I just multiplied these two numbers together. Now I want x by itself. That's going to tell me what my length is. but right now it's being multiplied by 24. So to get rid of this 24, I have to perform the inverse operation. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 24 on this side so they cancel out. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. So now I have 120 divided by 24, which is 5. Carry down whatever you have left over, which is my equal sign and my x. So now I know that my x is equal to 5, or my length is 5. 5 what? I'm going to write length, or x, so that's what we were solving for, is 5 inches. Do not forget to label. You need your units. Okay. Next part we're going to do is we're going to solve using our volume formula when we have two different sides missing. Sorry, we have two sides missing. So let's say you have a problem that looks like this. You're given a diagram and it tells you that your height is x, your length is x, and your width is 14 inches. And in the directions, it tells you that the volume is equal to 126 inches to the third. Now we want to figure out what these two sides are. But if you notice, they're both represented by the same variable. They're both x. If they're both x, that means they're both the same number. These two sides that we're looking for, they're equal. So before I get ahead of myself, let me just write down my formula. Volume equals length times width times height. And just plug in whatever I know. So my directions in the diagram told me my volume is 126. My length is x times my width, which is 14, times my height, which is also x. Now I want to make this formula simpler. But I see two x's. So how many times do you have x, or how many x's do you see? There are two, but they're being multiplied by each other. X times x. Whenever something is multiplied by itself, it is squared. So I just want to show you over here. It's not, I know that you think, oh, two x's, so it's just 2x. Don't think like that. They're being multiplied. What's happening with these two x's? They're being multiplied by each other. When something is multiplied by itself, it is squared. And I just want to show you, if we use the number, let's say 3. 3 times 3, there are two 3's here, but they're being multiplied, just like our x's in this situation. 3 times 3 is 9. If you were to tell me that there are two, if you were to write 2x or 2 3's, that equals 6. So that there's a difference. So x times x is x squared. Just want to make sure that makes sense to you guys. Now, this x squared, I want it by itself so I can figure out what just x is. But it's being multiplied by 14. So opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide by 14 so they cancel out, and whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So now I have 126 divided by 14. If you put your calculator, that gives you 9. Equals x squared. I'm not done. The x, there's nothing else. There's no other numbers or variables, but this x is being squared. So what this is actually telling me is 9 is equal to x times x. I want to know what just one x is. We reviewed in class that the opposite of squared is square root. So I want to know what one of these x's. I need to take the square root of 9. The square root of 9 will tell me what one x is. So you go ahead and put in your calculator, or you think what times itself is 9. And that will give you 3. So we know that the length of these two sides are 3. We always have to label. So I'm going to rewrite over here because there's more room. The length and height are equal to 3 inches. And it's just 3 inches because I'm not calculating for volume. It's not inches to the third. It's just the length of this side and the length of my height, or the measurements of my height, 3 inches. All right, thank you guys very much.